Operation Market Garden, the plan of the 1st Airborne Division at Arnhem. On September 17, 1944, the 1st Airborne Division would be tasked with one overriding objective: seize the road bridge over the Lower Rhine at Arnhem and hold it until 30 Corps arrived overland from the south, expected within 48 hours. The division could not be delivered in a single lift. Aircraft availability dictated 3 successive days of reinforcement. D-Day, September 17th. The first to move would be the 1st Airborne Reconnaissance Squadron, 180 men mounted on jeeps. The moment their vehicles were unloaded from their gliders, they would race ahead of the entire division toward the Arnhem Road Bridge, hold it, and wait for the infantry to arrive on foot. It was a coup de main by improvisation. The RAF had refused to land troops close to the bridge by parachute or glider, so the reconnaissance squadron was pressed into a role for which it was not designed. They would form the first ring around the bridge. The plan assumed they would face only minimal opposition. While the reconnaissance squadron raced east, the 1st Air Landing Brigade would fan out across the heathland around the drop and landing zones. Its role on this first day was not offensive. It was to secure those zones and hold them through the night, keeping them available for the second lift the following morning. 3 battalions would spread across the heathland, the Border Regiment holding the southern and eastern edges, the King's Own Scottish Borderers pushing west to Ginkle Heath to protect DZY for the following day, and the South Staffordshire's screening the northern edge of the landing area. Without secured zones, the reinforcements could not arrive. It was essential, unglamorous work on which everything else depended. Behind the reconnaissance squadron, the 1st Parachute Brigade, some 2,000 men under Brigadier Lathbury, would begin their march into Arnhem along 3 parallel routes. Lathbury's concept was built on an assumption of light opposition. Battalions were to push on at all costs, bypassing resistance wherever possible, and reach the bridge with maximum speed. The 2nd Battalion, under Lieutenant Colonel Frost, was supposed to take the southernmost route along the Rhine, the Lion Route, and was supposed to seize not only the main road bridge, but also the railway bridge and the pontoon bridge along the way. The 3rd Battalion would advance along the central Utrechtseweg toward the bridge to reinforce Frost's positions once it was taken. The 1st Battalion would head north along the Apeldoornseweg to secure high ground overlooking the approaches from Apeldoorn. Its objective was never the bridge, but the high ground that would protect the northern flank of the perimeter. This is the 2nd, bigger defensive ring, D+1. September 18th. On the morning of the 2nd day, the 2nd lift would arrive. The 4th Parachute Brigade under Brigadier Hackett would drop on Ginkle Heath and march 7 miles eastward to occupy a defensive sector to the north of Arnhem. This is a critical point. The 4th Brigade's planned destination was not the bridge, it was the high ground north of the town. Its 3 battalions, the 156th, 10th and 11th, would move in sequence, then pressing eastward to hold the northern arc of the divisional perimeter. The distance from their drop zone to the bridge was therefore irrelevant to their mission. With the zones now secured and the reinforcements safely down, the 1st Air Landing Brigade would complete its landing zone protection task, withdraw from its positions on the heathland, concentrate and move eastward toward Oosterbeek, about 3 miles from the drop zones and 4 miles from the bridge. This was Phase 2. The brigade would establish itself in and around the town of Oosterbeek, forming the western anchor of the divisional perimeter, together with the 1st Air Landing Light Regiment. The heathland drop zones, having served their purpose, would be left behind. D+2, September 19th. On the 3rd day, the 1st Polish Independent Parachute Brigade under Major General Sosabowski would arrive in 2 parts. Their heavy glider-borne equipment, vehicles, anti-tank guns and stores would land on LZL, 5 miles west of Arnhem, on the northern bank of the Rhine, protected by the KOSB Company. Simultaneously, The parachute element of the brigade would drop on DZK, a mile south of the bridge on the southern bank, the very zone the RAF had refused to use for a coup de main on the first day, but which was now considered clear of flak. If the bridge was by then secure, the Poles would cross and occupy positions to the east of Arnhem, closing the eastern arc of the perimeter and completing the divisional ring. If it was not, they were supposed to take it themselves, a prospect Sosabowski viewed with considerable alarm, given that his men would arrive without vehicles, without anti-tank guns, and without surprise, 3 days into a contested battle. This would be the third and largest defensive ring. When complete, and completion depended on all 3 lifts arriving successfully and every unit reaching its planned position. The plan envisaged a wide perimeter anchored at the bridge, the 1st Parachute Brigade holding the bridge itself and the southern approaches, the 4th Parachute Brigade covering the north, the 1st Air Landing Brigade established around Oosterbeek to the west, and the Polish Brigade closing the eastern arc. Only at that point would the perimeter be complete. 30 Corps would then pass through. The 52nd Lowland Division would be flown into Deelen Airfield. Every element of this plan depended on the one before it succeeding. The reconnaissance squadron had to hold the bridge long enough for the 1st Parachute Brigade to arrive. The Air Landing Brigade had to hold the zones long enough for the 2nd lift to land. The 4th Brigade had to secure the north before German reinforcements could occupy it. The Poles had to arrive into a situation already under control. It was a plan built entirely on sequencing, and it had no margin for error. Let us look at how the plan unfolds in real time. Day 1. The reconnaissance squadron races ahead toward the bridge. Behind them, the 1st, 2nd and 3rd Parachute Battalions leave the drop zone and begin their march into Arnhem along 3 separate routes. Meanwhile, the Air Landing Brigade fans out across the heathland, securing the drop and landing zones, ready for the 2nd lift the following morning. Their objectives lie just 4 kilometers from where they landed. Day 2. The 4th Parachute Brigade drops on Drop Zone Y and moves east to occupy the high ground north of Arnhem, securing the northern arc of the divisional perimeter. As the paratroopers clear the drop zones, the air landing battalions that have been protecting them begin their own move eastward, taking up defensive positions on the western flank of the operation. A company of the King's Own Scottish Borderers remains behind to protect Landing Zone L, ready for the arrival of part of the Polish Brigade the following day. Day 3. The Polish Brigade arrives in 2 elements. The parachute battalions drop on Drop Zone K just south of the river. Their glider-borne equipment and vehicles land on Landing Zone L to the north. Together they will close the eastern arc of the perimeter. The ring around the bridge is now complete. From the south, 30 Corps will pass through, crossing the bridge and driving north toward their true objective, the area of Nunspeet.